Hello, my name is Leo and welcome to another reading of the Elder Scrolls. Today we're going to be reading the final lesson by Algothus Goth. It is time for you to leave your apprenticeship here, said the great sage to his students, Taxim and Volduk. So soon? Cried Volduk. For it had been but a few years since the training had begun. Are we such poor pupils? We have learned much from you. From you, for you? It's from you, right? We have learned much from you, master. But have you no more to teach us? Daxam asked. You have told us so many tales of great enchanters of the past. Can't we continue to learn until we have reached some level of their power? I have one great... Don't do that. What's that? I have one great story to tell for you. Smiled the great sage. Is this the beginning of the story? Am I speaking in the great sage's voice? Whatever. Many thousands of years ago, long before the Cyrodiilic dynasty of Raman, and even longer before the Septim dynasty ruled Tamriel. You know, I've forgotten the lore of Elder Scrolls. It's been so long since I played a fucking Elder Scrolls game. I've forgotten all the lore. Well, you'll be playing Oblivion soon, so that's cool. You might even be playing Oblivion by the time this video comes out. Probably not. I think this video is going to come out like July or August or whatever. Anyway, sorry. And before there was a Mages Guild, and when the land called Morrowind was known as Residon, and the land of elsewhere was called as Aniquia and Peloton. And the only law of the land was the cruel ways of the airless and doctrines of Mukh. There lived a hermetic enchanter named Dalek, who had two apprentices, Uthrak and Lorth. Uthrak and Lorth were remarkable students, both equally assiduous in their learning, the pride of their master. Both excelled at the arts of the cauldron, mirror castings, the infusion of spiritus into mundus, and the weaving of air and fire. What, airbending? Sure. Dalek was very fond of his boys, and they of him. On a springtime morn, Dalek received a message from another enchanter named Perthel, who lived deep in the forests of the Clovian heartland. You must remember that in the dark days of the First Era, mages were solitary practitioners, with the only organized consortium being the Sizzix of Aterium. Away from that island, mages seldom saw one another, and even more rarely corresponded. Thus, when Dalek received Penith's letter, he gave it his great attention. Pethil was greatly aged, and he had found the peace of his isolation threatened by the Alician reform. He feared for his life, knowing that the fanatical priests and their warriors were close at hand. Dalek brought his students to him. It will be an arduous and perilous journey to the Clovian estates, one that I would fear partaking even in my youth, Dalek said. My heart trembles to send you two forth to Panthel's grave, but I know that he is in great danger, and benevolent and he is a... Sorry. But I know that he is a great... Where'd you get danger from? Shut up. But I know that he is a great and benevolent enchanter, and his light must continue to burn in the heart of the continent if we are to survive these dark days. Uthrak and Lorth pled with their teacher not to order them to go to Penethil. It was not the priests and warriors of the Alician reform they feared, but they knew their master was aged and infirm, and could not protect himself if the reform moved further westward. Finally, he relented and allowed that one would stay with him, and the other would journey forth to the Clovian estates. He would let them decide which of them would go. What are we, rock, paper, scissors? The lads debated and discussed, fought and compromised, and at last elected to let fate make the choice. They threw lots. Like sticks? Yeah, sure. Straws. And Loreth came up short. He left the next morning. He left early the next morning. Jesus Christ, are you okay? Miserable and filled with fear. For a month and a day he trampled through the forest, into the midst of the Clovian estates, through some planning, some skill, and much assistance for sympathetic peasants. He managed to avoid the ever-tightening circle of the eliciting reform by crossing through unclaimed mountain passes and hidden bogs. When at last he found the dark caverns where Dalek had told him to search for Penethil, it was still many hours before he could find the enchanter's lair. No one appeared to be there. Loreth searched through the laboratory of ancient tomes, cauldrons, and crystalline flutes, herbs kept alive by the glow of mystic circles, strange liquids and gases caught in transparent membranes. It's a bit much. At last he found Penethil, or so he presumed. The desiccated shell on the floor of the study, clutching tools of enchantment, scarcely seemed human. Loreth decided that he could do nothing further for the mage, and began at once the journey back to his true master Dalek and his friend Uthrak. The armies of the Reform had moved quickly since he passed. After more than one close near encounter, the young enchanter realized that he was trapped on all sides. The only retreat that was possible was back in the caves of Penethil. I'm not really seeing a relevant connection to the story and the main characters of this story, but whatever. How many more chapters are there? Oh, Jesus. Chapters, pages. Whatever, let me drink some water. I forgot how tough these book readings were. Boy, alright. The first thing to be done, Lois saw, was to find a means to keep the army from finding the laboratory. That, he found, was what Penethil himself had been trying to do, but by simple error even a prentice enchanter could recognize. He had only succeeded in destroying himself. Or maybe that's not Penethil. Don't think about that. Loreth was able to take what he learned from Dalek and apply it to Penethil's enchantments. Quite successfully. The laboratory? Yeah, right. The laboratory was never found, or even detected by the Reform. Well, much time passed. In the 480th year of the First Era, the great Alden Durrani won many battles against the Lucian horde, and many passages and routes that had once been closed were now open. Loreth, now long young, was able to return to Naki. Stop that voice. What's the normal voice? Oh, man voice. Yes. When at last he found his way to his master's old hovel, he saw candles of morning lit in all the trees surrounding. Even before he knocked on the door, he met his old fellow student Uthrak. Loreth knew that Dalek had died. It was only a few months ago, said Uthrak, after embracing his friend. He talked of you every day, and every year you were away. Every year? Just how long was it? How long was it? I don't know, it doesn't say. Jesus, alright. Anyway, should I mute the game audio because, like, I know this song is like copyright hell. Is it? I don't care. Yeah. Somehow he knew that you had not proceeded. into the world beyond. What happened to his voice again? He told me that you would come back. The grey-haired man sat before the fire and reminisced of the old days. The sad truth was that they both discovered how different they had become. Uzak spoke of carrying on the master's work, while Loreth described his new discoveries. They left one another that day, each shaking his head, destined to never see each other again. In the years ahead, before they left the mortal world to join their great teacher Dalek, they both achieved their desires. Uthrak went on to become respected if minor. You mean went on to become a respected if minor, who turned into the service of Clan Durrani. Lorath took the skills he had learned on his own and used them to fashion the Balak Therm, the Staff of... Oh my god, the Staff of Chaos? Fuck you. Lorath made the Staff of Chaos. It's an important item in The Elder Scrolls 1, in case you didn't know. My boys, the lesson is that you have to learn from a teacher to avoid those small but essential errors that claim the life of such self-taught enchanters as Pethel. And yet, the only way to become truly great is to try all the possibilities on your own. What a shitty story that didn't help at all. That was the last story? Fuck, dude. You really do have nothing to fucking teach us. Anyway, that was a reading of the final lesson by Agruth Goth. And this has been another reading of the Elder Scrolls, but for now, my name is Leo, and I will see you. That's not how you end the videos, is it? How do I used to end the videos? My name is Leo, and this has been another reading of the Elder Scrolls. Is that right? No, I started off the normal way. Whatever, my name is Leo, see you next time, mate. Okay.